In episode 4, you learned how images are layered and tagged. This episode is about something that trips up almost everyone the first time they hit it. What happens to your data when a container disappears? Quick recap before we get there. Every file system instruction in a Docker file creates its own layer. Docker caches those layers and reuses them when nothing's changed, and a cache break in one layer cascades to everything built after it. And tags are just names pointing at an image ID. Cheap to create, easy to move. None of that is about to change. But there's a gap in that picture we haven't talked about yet. Containers are ephemeral. Here's what that means. Anything a container writes lands in its own writable layer, sitting right on top of the read-only image layers underneath it. That writable layer belongs to one specific container. Remove the container with Docker RM, and the layer, and everything written to it, is deleted right along with it. Let's watch that happen for real. We run a container, write hello into a file, remove the container, then start a brand new one and try to read that same file back. Docker run, name test, Alpine, echo hello into data.txt. Docker rm-f test. Docker run Alpine, cat data.txt. And there's the answer. Cat, can't open data.txt, no such file or directory. Gone. No warning, no recovery. That data never existed anywhere except inside a layer that just got deleted. This is exactly the gap volumes exist to close. A volume is storage that Docker manages for you, and that lives independently of any one container's lifecycle. It's created and tracked by Docker itself, separate from any image or container. You mount it into a container at a path you choose, so as far as the app is concerned, it's just a folder. And critically, it survives Docker RM and can be reattached to a brand new container. There are two ways to attach storage like this, and they solve different problems. Named volumes. Docker chooses and manages the storage location for you, referenced by a simple name, portable across machines, the default choice for production data like databases, caches, and uploads. Bind mounts. You point directly at a specific folder on the host, and changes on the host show up in the container instantly, the default choice for local development, live code, config files. Let's see named volumes in practice. Docker volume create app data. Docker run -v app data :var/lib/data my app. That -v flag mounts the volume at that path inside the container, creating it automatically the first time. Docker volume ls shows you every volume Docker knows about, and Docker volume inspect app data gives you the details on this one. Bind mounts look similar, but point somewhere very different. Docker run -v, then the current directory /src, /app/src, my app. That maps a folder on your host straight into the container. You'll also see this written with the more explicit -- mount flag. Type equals bind, source equals your host path, target equals the container path. Same result, different syntax. Edit a file on the host, and the running container sees the change immediately. No rebuild, no restart. That's what makes bind mounts so good for active development. Quick note on those two flags before we move on. -v is short and fast to type, but it'll silently create a missing host folder as a bind mount if you make a typo, which can hide bugs. -- mount is more verbose, key equals value syntax, but it fails loudly if a path is wrong instead of guessing. For scripts in production, reach for -- mount. Now let's prove persistence actually works the way we've been describing. Container A, Docker run -v, app data :/data, Alpine, sh-c, echo hi into data/note.txt. Then we remove that container entirely, Docker rm-f. Container B, a completely new container, Docker run -v, app data :/data, Alpine, cat data/note.txt. And the output comes back. Hi. Same volume, brand new container, same data. The volume never belonged to container A. It just happened to be attached to it. A few commands to keep things tidy as volumes pile up. Docker volume ls to see everything Docker's tracking. Docker volume rm and a name to remove one specific volume. And Docker volume prune to remove every volume that isn't currently attached to a running container. Let's recap. Containers are ephemeral. The writable layer dies with Docker RM named volumes, and bind mounts persist data outside that layer, one managed by Docker, the other pointing straight at a host path. And Docker volume ls, rm, and prune keep and used storage from piling up. That's episode 5. In episode 6, we cover networking, how containers talk to each other and to the outside world. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you then.